Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. Man, I need to work on the getting ready thing because I keep being later than I want to be. But anyways, it is Monday, the 5th of October. We got some stuff going on. All sorts of news, pretty active time. And, well, got the president is still at the hospital, apparently, although getting better. So, to the charts. Overnight, things are looking reasonably bullish. Not as extreme as I thought. I thought that we would just be trending above that line, but so far it seems not. So you can see here a little bit higher. Treasuries taking the plunge on Friday and here overnight going down again, and this is just a sell. I really strongly believe that they are trading on anticipation of Joe Biden win, which is expected to push down Treasury rates, or rather push up Treasury rates and push down the Treasuries overall. So that's what we've been seeing, and they've been pretty aggressive. And when it came back after the president became sick, they pushed it down again. So there's that. Oil recovering a little bit this time after, pretty bad past 2 days. Gold's still struggling around the 1900 area, but holding it for now. And copper kind of turning down a little bit again, which is concerning. All right, so. But overall, I think we still seem to be pretty sold. Pretty heavily sold. And I expect that there will be some hedges coming in here. So I think I want to be short the treasuries and long the equities here. And we can do that today. So I think I'm going to keep it to single lots. Oh, except for that, you know what? I didn't set my stops here on this one, so let's fix that. I'm going to keep it to single lots, but I'm going to trade multiple instruments. That's what we're going to do today. So. Okay, so text to speech. Let's start that. And our Discord here. Good morning, Izzy. Morning. By the way, we still need to test that package I sent you, because once we do that, then we can potentially start showing everybody. Well, we can get the process over at Ninja Trader started. Let's see here. What happens if I come in here right now? No, I still don't see it. I guess we could get other people to try. 3 days of not seeing the sun down here? Really? Has it been really rainy? It's getting icky over here in Utah. Like, the air quality is just awful. Oh, you know what? I want to make sure that I'm getting the right session over here. Man, them treasuries are just getting pummeled. It's been on and off misty, but not like super wet. Trump and medical team will decide later Monday whether he's discharged later today. I would expect that he will be. I was surprised to see was Donald Trump, did a drive-by with his Secret Service entourage to show himself to his supporters. And people were really upset about it. They're like, this is so irresponsible. No, 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 no. And I think the reason that they were saying that was because the Secret Service guys could have been exposed to the coronavirus. Is that what the deal is? That just seems so silly to me. Like, you guys realize that these Secret Service agents are with them like pretty much all the time, right? Like, if they probably already got it. They probably already got it. Plus, they're really healthy people, so the risk of them dying from it is practically nil. But so far, things seem to be proceeding as I thought that they would, which was that Donald Trump is at severe risk, so I think that he could get pretty sick. But the therapeutic treatments that we have work and are very effective, and so it's kind of looks how it's going, man. That 30-year in particular is just getting hammered. Wow, wow, wow. If I could have gotten 09, that would have been amazing, but of course not. 10 years seems to be suggesting they still got some room to move, too. Oh, no, wait, never mind. They're already past that. I'm lying. I'm like, ignore me. Ignore me. They're well past the stop out zone. These guys are just looking to move it. Everybody wants in on this, man. So I did a TikTok video the other day, which you guys don't need to watch because y'all come in here every day. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But I went and I did the calculations about how far Goldman Sachs thinks that the 10-year Treasury could move off of a Democrat win and stimulus. And it was all the way down at 136 in the 10-year. 136. Yeah. Was down there. I was like, whoa. It was like 3.5.
Uzi
Actually,
Knesset
no.
says quick in and out, short 31 to 29 in ZB. So low, I wasn't banking on continuation, but I got some house money for the morning at least.
Well, there you go. Frankly, I think that you take it short here, as close to as close to Friday's close price as you can, and try and hold it to the election. I mean, why not? Unless the polls start trending around. If the polls start trending around, then you might see it unwind. But it seems to me that the market, since the top, has been trying to price in a Joe Biden win. And that there's been a continuation of that, as messy as it has been, since the debates. And that's why after the debate, the treasuries were like, okay, well, this isn't happening. We better prepare for Joe Biden win. And that's why they've been shorting it so aggressively. Because this is like, with the degree to which they're moving right now, that's new money coming in. They are selling it hard. Now, of course, they're selling it so hard that they're probably going to have to move it around a little bit and mess around with this, right? I'm not. Oh, because I have that only set to show big orders. That's why. Financial Times, Trump and Xi Jinping, the new Cold War. what they got going on in equities. 200 million. Oh, so we're talking about SoftBank actually bought 200 million worth of calls on Netflix, Amazon, Facebook, and Google. 200 million isn't a lot for their size, to be honest. They could also just go over the counter too. They were almost certainly trying to push the market on Thursday. It's pretty clear. Come over here to the chart. Let's see here. That was the 30th, right? That was the 1st. The 30th and the 1st, really. I think that's around that time up in here that somebody was trying to pump it. I think that they might come back too. $3M is fighting back against price gouging and fraud. Good for them, I guess. The market year. What happened to the S&P head and shoulders formation? Let's look. Did it not work? Oh, it did not work. Right back at the right shoulder. Yeah. That wasn't really the greatest head and shoulders formation I've ever seen, though. Dim, 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 dim. No, equities over here are super, super quiet today, but I guess it's Monday. I guess it's Monday. I'm watching a video of somebody blocking traffic and flipping people off. Why would you do that? He's calling the police. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, a little down move there. They know I'm long. They're coming for me. That's okay. Somebody wants to go short right there during slow action to come after me, let them do it. How big of an iceberg was it?
Oh, it was 417? 334. Was this little guy right here? Just below 3360, I guess. We should keep a close eye on how much gets absorbed below 60. Because that looks like maybe shenanigans. Oh, man, I need to stretch my back. I'll be right back. Not feeling my tops today, I'll tell you that much. I think I'm getting a little sick, maybe. My wife and child have had a runny nose, and I think they're passing it off to me. It's not like running yet, but I can kind of feel like the little spiciness at the back of your throat, you know? Not spiciness. I don't know how to describe it, you know? Just a little bit of fire back there. First Squawk tweeting. President's doctor gave him experimental antibody medication from Regeneron Pharmaceuticals as well as Gilead Sciences antiviral drug remdesivir to help speed recovery. Yeah, we already knew that. In fact, I kind of predicted at the very beginning that that's what they would give him. Did I not? I think when we were talking about it on Friday, I'm like, well, I'll probably give him that antiviral cocktail, right? Secret Service agents knock Trump car riot. This should never have happened. Well, I don't know. I would rather talk to the Secret Service agents that were actually in the car. I don't know if that's a big deal. I see them trying to make that the next political issue, but I don't think that one's going to run. Following his recent visit to the NYSE, Secretary John Kerry laid out the case to price carbon and put market forces to work to address the looming challenge with global carbon ETF. Ugh. You guys want to trade carbon futures? Trade water. What else were we talking about trading on Friday? I was like, heck. Listen, now that we can trade water futures, like, sky's the limit, right? We should have everything. We should have air futures. Like they're carbon futures, we should have oxygen futures, you know? Like at some point in the future, guys, you might need it. Regeneron stock is up 5% in pre-market trading, while Gilead is up about 3%. Well, that does not sound like a move that I would fade, but I also kind of think that it's a move that is perhaps unjustified, because we should have known already that Gilead and Regeneron had good treatments that were on track to be approved or were being used experimentally. Like, I don't know. You know the crowd's going to come in, though, right? Yeah, I wouldn't short that one. White House Chief of Staff Meadows, there is a potential for a COVID-19 aid deal.
Uzi Knesset says aid deal, stimulus.
Yeah, they're still talking the stimulus. Meadows, I've been in
Uzi
constant
Knesset
contact
says feed me more trading capital.
with Treasury Secretary Mnuchin regarding negotiations with House Representative Speaker Pelosi. I don't know. The funny thing is a Biden win pushes the treasuries down, theoretically. At least that's what's being predicted, right? Lack of a stimulus deal and a Joe Biden win makes it even stronger, right? Because then the Democrats can just pass their stimulus deal, which was like $5 trillion, which would push even more treasuries out in the market. McCabe, I will not testify out of fear for my health, even remotely. What the heck? He won't even do a remotely out of fear of his health. Okay. Now Meadows is talking about Donald Trump being released from the hospital. Probably won't know about that until the afternoon, though. You think the markets will bump up on that? I'd say it's likely. In case you missed it, watch the replay of Navigating Volatility webinar co-hosted by CME Group and NASDAQ to get ready for the launch of the NASDAQ 100 Volatility Index. I'll have to watch that. I haven't found the videos and stuff that from the CME particularly useful, but they've usually been about instruments that I'm not interested in. Volatility, we should all be interested in. Okay, so Jake Sherman, looking at this again, White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows again calls for passing stimulus relief piecemeal, an approach that Democrats have rejected for months, and then stresses the importance of moving in a fiscally responsible manner. This is not a good sign for talks. No Dem trying to sideline Meadows here, and we'll see where that goes. Okay. Either way, though, I say short treasuries, man. What would be the situation that would screw over our trade in the treasuries right now? A poll coming out showing Donald Trump up in multiple swing states? Unlikely. Joe Biden catches coronavirus, that would do it. If Joe Biden catches coronavirus, then the treasuries are going to reverse on us. Regal Cinema is closing all locations nationwide. Weren't they already closed? Listen, if I don't get to watch Dune, I'm going to be upset if I don't get to see that in theaters. Okay? Are you with me? That movie looks awesome. Yeah, so I don't know who this Lena Wen is, a medical doctor, but she's saying, if Donald Trump were my patient in unstable condition and contagious illness and he suddenly left the hospital to go for a car ride that endangers himself and others, I'd call security to restrain him and then perform a psychic evaluation. Please, no. Are you kidding me?
Uzi Knesset says personally, I'd have to say I like seeing the $20 soda assholes get boned lol.
Wait, the $20 soda assholes? Oh, you mean the people that are just always drinking soda? Saying that because they're, I'm not quite sure I get what you're saying.
Uzi Knesset says movie theaters lol.
Oh, right. No, I hear you. But then, so here's the thing that really makes me mad, though. I mean, I want to see Dune, but I don't necessarily feel too bad for movie theaters, other than more bad than I feel for anybody else that its business has suffered under coronavirus. But Disney, oh my gosh, screw Disney. I was thinking about buying their, like at the beginning, I was thinking about buying their stock, and then everything kind of took off. And I was like, well, I don't want to get into anything right now. And certainly not Disney, which is already like really, really taken off because of their streaming service. And then they go in and they offer you can get Mulan for like $30. You're already paying
Uzi
like
Knesset says 30,000 people laid off. Have a few friends caught up in that.
that's sad. But Disney's streaming service is already overpriced for what you're getting. And then when the content comes on that you'd really want to see and they charge you $30 for it, no thanks. But I have to see The Mandalorian, so like that's your only. I watch it at my parents' house. That's the
Uzi
one
Knesset
thing they
says
got.
we're hoping we can get some of their hospitality staff deadpan face.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been wondering because my wife, she works for an airline, right? And her company hasn't been laying people off. They did furlough people, and it's like a voluntary furlough. And apparently, enough of these flight attendants are not, don't need the money. And there's plenty of people willing to furlough themselves, which is really surprising to me. But that's the way that it's been. And so that's what she's been doing so that she can watch the baby. But, at some point she's gonna want to go back to work. And there's a little bit of question about if there will be a job there when she's ready to come back. And then it's like, well, then what would she do? Because she could probably get any hospitality job she wants after being a flight attendant, but it wouldn't be nearly as flexible. You know what I mean? With it is right now, and even if she does still have a job when she's back, she might not be able to get the schedule that she wants anymore because apparently the locals and things that she was flying before aren't flying right now.
Uzi Knesset says for sure. COVID is absolutely draining service industries of female workers.
I mean, if it gets more houses into being one parent income again, I guess that would be generally overall good for everybody. But you want people to have the flexibility, right? This is one thing that kind of bothers me is that the way that they and I'm not exactly sure who I can say they are, but generally speaking, there's been overabundance of labor, right? Like
Uzi Knesset says we hire only women and hiring a woman right now is like finding diamonds in the road.
Really? Well, that's interesting. So have you hired men and had bad experiences with them? Or is it just like for different reasons than that?
Ace Trades says morning.
Hey Ace, where you been? How have you been? I tell you what, Ace, I say that you should be watching the 30-year Treasury for shorts. A little late today, but this is a
Ace
trade I
Trades
really
says
like.
good. Hope all is well. Uzi Knesset says nah, residential cleaning companies all primarily hire women. If we did more overnight commercial stuff, we'd hire more men.
Okay.
Winston's mom says
gotcha.
did someone call for a woman because they found a diamond in the road? Well, here I am. Good morning. Ace Trades says what is the symbol again for Treasury?
ZB.
Winston's
do
mom
ZB.
says I like diamonds but I wear pearls.
Be careful, tick size is big, 31.25 per tick. $500 margin, 31.25 per tick. You get that's leveraged. That's leveraged. Let me tell you. Market remains worried about contested results. Okay. I don't know. Given it's kind of interesting. Nobody thinks that the polls are going to be accurate. That's the only conclusion that I can make from what I'm seeing right now because all the polls have Joe Biden ahead, but the markets still think that there's going to be a contested election. Let me tell you what. If Joe Biden is really as far ahead as the polls indicate that he is, then there is not going to be a contested election. It's not even going to be close.
And I myself, I suspect that it won't be so easy for Joe, but I can't argue with the poll. Well, I mean, I don't want to say I can't argue with the poll, but I don't know what it's going to be. How am I supposed to come in and say, well, the poll is wrong? I don't really know.
Ace Trades says at Winston's mom you are a treasure worth her weight in diamonds.
Oh man, that would be a lot of money.
Uzi Knesset says
For
there will
weight in
be a
diamonds?
contested election. It's all gonna be centered around the mail-in ballot carfuffle. The only way it won't be contested is if all mail-in ballots are counted on election night. Uzi Knesset says and
Well,
Trump appears to win.
maybe. I mean, what happens if on election night that just from the ballots that are counted that night that Joe Biden
Winston's mom
wins?
says ZB is the symbol for Treasuries and Ace Trades symbol would be what? He is priceless and good morning, Ace Trades.
The AT symbol is that? There's probably a future for that. I shouldn't say that. Look at them. They're hitting into 06 half too. Well, they gave it a little bit of a pullback in ZB for you to take
Uzi
it.
Knesset says because with mail-in
75
ballots,
even.
there's gonna be late turn-ins, bad signatures, lost ballots, etc.
Yeah.
Just by sheer volume. That leaves the window wide open for both sides to contest. Ace Trades says short CB 174.27.
Oh man, he just goes right in, huh? Okay. Well, we'll see. I mean, you're right, Uzi, that they could contest it, but I think at that point the markets wouldn't care because any kind of mail-in ballots are likely to favor Biden, right? You think 06 is going to pull if they tick down? Wonder. Nope. At least not that time. Trump may okay, so if Donald Trump doesn't get released from the hospital today, some traders are going to be upset, right? No, you're probably right in that there's going to be
Uzi
court
Knesset says not
cases.
necessarily. There's no logic behind that assumption. In CA, that seat St. Guger ran for, Republicans dominated the mail-ins. Ace
Okay.
Trades says long as 3,361.75.
Okay. Man, Ace is just going in. You know what, Uzi? I think you convinced me there. I think you're right. The mail-in ballots don't automatically um, favor Biden per se. It depends on the area. It would still have to be really close. That's the other thing is that the margin, what if in Pennsylvania, as an example, if Joe Biden wins Pennsylvania by like 10 points, then no chance. No chance for Donald Trump to win. No chance. It have to be close. It'll have to be within a few percentage points. And at least the polling right now suggests that it's going to be a blowout. But nobody believes the polling. Nobody believes the polling. And I don't necessarily believe the polling too. I have no
Knesset says
way to
people
know.
assume mail-in ballots favor Democrats because the associate voter fraud with mail-in ballots and Democrats hyperbolically, but, realistically, there's no reason mail-ins would favor Dems.
Well, it's not just that. It's also that
Uzi Knesset says Republicans are actually guilty for that trope.
Yeah, Donald Trump is very anti-mail-in ballots and has been telling everybody to go on election day. And when you look at the polling, it shows that Republicans are significantly less likely to do mail-in ballots. But you're right that mail-in ballots is still high for Republicans in certain areas. It kind of depends on who's the underdog in the area. White House reporter Jacobs, they might keep Trump at the hospital till tomorrow, I'm told. Do you think that the market cares if he's released today or tomorrow? Hmm. Trump has not followed coronavirus guidelines. I don't know. I'm trying to think about this narrative that they're pushing today that Donald Trump's not following guidelines as being a coronavirus patient, and I'm trying to determine in my head how big of a deal it is. It doesn't seem to me like a narrative that will stick, in that people will get bored of that really quickly. But what people will it affect? I don't think that his supporters give a shit.
Uzi Knesset says Democrats also think if they piss mail-in ballots into low-income minority communities that voter turnout would be high for them, but sending ballots to people doesn't mean they'll vote.
Yeah, that's why they want to do the ballot harvesting. That, or they fill it out wrong. That happens a lot, apparently.
Uzi Knesset says same presumption with felons. We restore their voting rights, they'll vote for us. But based on what?
I'm pretty sure that felons vote like almost 80% Democrat. Am I wrong? Do you have a polling to suggest that they don't? Could change in the future. Okay, if there's one fallacy that that Democrats fall victim to a lot.
Sunday Driver says universal suffrage is a terrible idea.
Okay, Sunday. I don't agree with that. I disavow Sunday Driver and his comments. Anyways, if there's one fallacy that Democrats fall for, it's that current trends will continue. Their whole thing is based off of convincing people what the trend is and trying to get everybody to bandwagon on it. And then when the trend flips, they're screwed.
I only have anecdotes for that. I know a handful of felons, but not any that are even political to begin with, lol.
Well, there you go.
Luis Alarid says my family can't wait to vote by mail. They are fearful of the COVID. I'm the rebel.
I mean, at this point, I don't know. I think that I would be vulnerable to coronavirus, so I definitely don't want to catch it. Okay, so I don't want to say anything silly. But in my head, it's I just want it to be over with. Would be great to have caught it and be done and be able to say, hey, look, I'm free, and hey, maybe there's like some service around the community that you could do if you have immunity. Like, I'm down. I just want it to be over with. I mean, in Utah, it mostly is over with. Everybody still wears masks, but you can do pretty much whatever you want. Well, people aren't throwing parties and stuff, but I can go to the store, not have to worry.
Sunday Driver says felons don't knowingly vote. A Democrat operative does them the favor of voting for them.
There you go. Probably. Well, they come in, they harvest our ballot. I was really shocked at the news headline that I saw the other day, and where somebody was trying to apparently they're going to argue this before the Supreme Court, that rules banning ballot harvesting is discriminatory against minorities. I was like, what? You gotta be kidding me. Why is it that anything that would actually improve the security of elections hurts minorities? I don't know. That's such bullshit. That to me seems more racist, because it's like saying that minorities aren't capable of voting on their own if we don't, do everything for them. It's terrible.
Luis Alarid says heard Trump does not have the virus, just hiding because of many death threats.
Yeah, I don't.
Uzi Knesset says so, basically saying that minorities voting on their own accord is racist? Lol.
I guess.
Ace Trades says S going against me. Should have taken the point.
We got a pretty good run there for a bit, but I don't know. We get time to let it. Look at the Treasury, just keeps getting slammed. There's now almost 4,000 offered at 06 half, and there's a few hitting into 06. So no guarantee, of course, but I think that we're pretty likely to get it to go a little bit more. Now, ZB, they haven't fallen. They haven't gone yet. It looks like the 5-year is the holdup here. So 5,000 net, 28 half, and only 700 hitting.
Sunday Driver says Dems cheat and there are legal protections for minorities that allows them to cheat.
No, hold on a second. I'll be right back.
Ace Trades says at Sunday Driver pretty broad brush you are using.
Yeah. Okay, so they ticked back up there at 06 half. They weren't able to get into the 28 half. I'm watching that. You better execute right there. That is almost 5K. If 5K doesn't trade there, then I'm calling shenanigans. I'm all. So people have been talking about the spoofing thing because JP Morgan got caught spoofing. And it reminded me of a couple of videos where I had a, very clear spoofing. And I have one in particular where
Sunday Driver says
order,
they cheat and use civil rights laws to protect their schemes.
Big order comes in, tries to offer them down. They sell down 2 ticks. It absorbs and then it moves higher the rest of the session. And it was totally a spoof. It was like the quintessential spoof example, man. And this was like 2018. And watching that video just make me mad. It makes me so mad. And so now I'm all triggered like, oh, is that a spoof at 28 half? If they don't trade 5,000 contracts there, I'm calling the SEC. That's what I'm thinking in my head. Forex Live tweets, ignore Trump, focus on stimulus stocks. Well, in the E-mini, that's probably true. This is why I like the Treasury trade better. Because the Treasury trade is generally going to be a short either way. Of course, it could come on our time frame. It could come back into us, and we could stop out. Which, by the way, I should get rid of that. So if it comes back to 09, I don't think I want to add. Okay, so the 5-year ticks down again. The other 2 didn't go with it. Let's reset it here.
Uzi Knesset says watching 75 evens for a cap.
Oh, right. Well. Oh, yeah. So another thing, Ace, since you're here. Because I keep telling you, you got to go and get get on Discord so I can give you this indicator. I now have a website, and you can download it on the website. So if you go to speculatorseth.com, and then we'll see if you can figure out the rest on your own. So that's the whole thing. If you can, you guys can figure it out. It's all good. Then I've left the breadcrumbs there correctly, and then we can go live with it. Hopefully, maybe next week. Okay, so the 10-year also down ticks, and 28 half now only has 3,700 on it.
Uzi Knesset says I downloaded it yesterday, by the way.
Okay. Did you install it? I'm going to guess that for you, Uzi, that you might have to come in. I'll show you here in NinjaTrader. You can go Tools, Remove Ninja Script Assembly. You might have to remove the old assemblies first. If you get this error, like you this will block assemblies that you already have by a similar name or something like that. I think it should be okay because they're kind of renamed things, but you might have to do that. Here comes the kids. They're all going to school this week. The school is going to a 4-day. The younger kids already went to a 4-day.
Uzi Knesset says 10 to 4.
10-4. Cool. Yeah, and I will be able to see you guys show up. So there's like a licensing thing. So when you first download it, you're on the trial. And then for it to be permanent, I have to go in and set that up. So the plan is to make it a subscription for subscribers. But because you two helped me develop the whole thing, I'll let you in. The rest of you, though, you gotta subscribe to the elite membership. Okay. So 28 half traded 31.36. So that's probably not dramatic enough for me to report to the SEC. But it certainly was like, if you were thinking, they can't get through 28 half, there's 5K, there's just not enough willing to sell there, and you had dumped there, then obviously you would be upset. I don't know if you could blame it on spoofing or not, but it was certainly kind of a false signal. So now we get 5 half.
Uzi Knesset says you can actually report spoofs to the SEC. Like any of us can.
I think so. I think any of us can. I reported that one. Listen, if that was JP Morgan and that was one of the ones that led to them, getting prosecuted, then I should be getting a reward right now. Because I reported that one. The one that I can remember from 2018.
Winston
I
Swab
definitely
says,
reported that
clip
one.
reporting spoofs to the SEC.
I have to go back and watch the video, but because I don't remember if I was trading live at the time or not, but I lost a trade on that. I did. I went short, and because of the spoof, and it flipped around on us. Wow, they took 05
Sunday
half
Driver
really
says is spoofing
easily.
illegal. That happens a lot.
It is illegal. Here's the thing though. Like if I'm in the ES and I put 50 lots on there or 20 lots on there, and then it ticks up to me and I cancel it, they're probably not going to prosecute you for that. But if I come and I put 5,000 on top of 050 in the 10-year to make it 9,000 or 11,000 or whatever, so that it'll come up a few points, and then I pull my order and
Uzi
I really
Knesset
was
says
short.
The trick is differentiating between a spoof and changing your mind.
Yeah. I put 9K there, it comes up, and the whole time I'm short and I let it drop more, then yeah, that's spoofing. And they'll go after that. And I think that the issue,
Luis Alarid says Azure daily awareness of iceberg spoofing.
iceberg would be different, right? I think in the JP Morgan case, a lot of it was that they had pretty clear intent. Like they had Bloomberg chat messages between the traders and stuff, basically straight up saying that they were putting big orders in there to screw people up. So there's no question about with them that it was spoofing, right? So I suppose that if you're a big trader, not encouraging this, just to be clear here, spoofing is illegal. Don't do it. Pisses me off. But if you were a large trader and you really wanted to spoof, I wouldn't talk to anybody about it. Right? Because if it's all in your head, then you can claim that, oh, I just changed my mind. Yeah, I know that it was 4,000 contracts, but and I was already, more contracts long than I wanted to, but
Sunday Driver says illegal naked short selling stock happens all the time and nothing is done about it.
So is naked short selling stock illegal per se? What's the rules on that? Naked shorting is the illegal practice of selling short shares that have not been firmly determined to exist.
You would want a Trader's Gonna Trade mug, extra large size.
There you
Speaking of mugs, Speculator Seth has merchandise and would appreciate a hit on the like button. Thanks.
Thank you, Win. Okay, that 05 half is going back and forth a few times. Unclear if they can get people to hit into 05.
Luis Alarid says I short all the time in my underwear, hee hee.
So, naked shorting does sound illegal. It doesn't sound like anything that you or I could do. So, if anybody was doing it, that would absolutely be something that they would get hit for. I would hope that they would get hit really, really hard, because you're basically undermining your whole back office system, right?
Sunday Driver says yes, it's done all the time.
How would you prove that it's done all the time? How do you prove it? You would have to be able to prove that the person that sold the shares wasn't able to borrow them
Ace Trade
first.
says wow, 3 ticks on the ZB. Yippee, I forgot what a snooze fest it is.
Great.
Lol.
Dude, 4 ticks on the ZB, that's $125. That's great. And if it goes down a whole point and you could have made $1,000, then you really be like, well,
Winston's mom says, naked shorting, and now I am imaging Luis Alarid in white boxer underwear printed with tiny red strawberries.
No, he wasn't. That's when. Do we need to have a discussion about what's naked and what's... No. See, now you have a visual picture that you didn't want, don't you? So they're kind of building up there at 050. So I'm going to put this was
Luis Alarid says lol. Winston's mom says ROFL.
Sunday Driver says that association is not made. Transactions are sent through with the assumption that it has been borrowed.
Probably.
Alex DeWoodian says are selfies allowed for naked shorts?
I'm trying to think about if there was ever a situation where I would have come into that, because how do they do that? I'm trying to think about at Goldman.
Sunday Driver says I'm naked right now. No shame in my game. Elbow cough.
I'm trying to think about if at Goldman, if somebody wanted to go short, what would the process that they would go through to determine that they have the shares to do it? Because none of the systems that I can think of checked that there was enough shares to borrow. Although I'm sure that something somewhere has to do something like that.
Ace Trade says it's Sunday Driver gross. People sit in that chair.
Yeah, he sits in that chair. Oh my gosh. I know this is like a totally crazy tangent, but have you seen the new Herman Miller chair that they put together there with a Logitech? That thing looks so cool. I want one. Hey, Logitech, if you're
Uzi
listening.
Knesset says Trump tweets this morning. Holy boomer caps lock posts Batman.
Did he? Oh, you're talking about earlier. Today is the last day to register to vote in Arizona, Florida, Georgia, Ohio, and Texas. Well, Arizona's the only one on that list that I'm really concerned about.
Sunday driver says that's a giant regulatory hole. It's not done.
I'm sure I'm next time I see somebody in next time I see somebody in aughts, I will ask them how that's done. I tell you what, I mean, I know we had this argument many months ago with somebody here on the channel, but it doesn't, man, and this just shows my bias, but it doesn't surprise me at all that JP Morgan get caught for doing that kind of shit.
Winston's mom says Ace trades. I worked with a guy who lived in a nudist colony. They carry towels. He said there is a strict etiquette on towels, no overt sexuality. On the first day of school, his daughter got naked.
What? Okay, so they trade through 05 all 5,000 contracts. Hey, look at that, Ace. Now you're up 6 ticks. That's $150. Eh? I guess if you used an E-mini contract, you could have made that much, but the trade though was pretty. See, this is where I like.
Ace Trades
Treasuries.
says at Winston's mom, oh dear. I'm all for freedom of expression, but there is good naked and bad naked.
No, because here in the Treasuries, we have a situation where the trade is
Ace
very,
Trades
very
says
obvious.
7 ticks is how much? Winston's mom says
like
his little girl had been
151 or
raised on the
something.
nudist colony and went to school off-site. She arrived the first day and took off her clothes. They had to go to school to explain. Uzi Knesset says 215.
31.5 times 6. Oh, no, that's 187. 7 is 215, right? $218, yeah. Do I have that
Ace
right?
Trades says I'm covering the
31.25?
trade with 1 tick. We'll see.
250. Yeah, that's right. Came back a little bit there, didn't it? So that's actually probably, well...
Sunday driver says what's that symbol in Winston's name?
Uzi Knesset says I am subtracting my $3 commissions lol.
So, if you subscribe to the channel, then you get the cool symbol next to your name.
Sunday driver says green.
Yeah, that's because she's a subscriber. She can also use the Seth Panic emoji, which is becoming quite popular, I'm told. I was on the so apparently the guys at the Wall Street Bets Discord in the futures kind of got a little tired of all of the autism on the wall. They felt like they weren't getting real traders, so they went and they started a new Discord, and they invited us all out, checked it out, and they were all using the emoji.
Sunday driver says what does that cost?
Luis Alarid says date check today is the 5th.
So if you click the join button underneath of the video, then you can see the tiers, and I've got a $1, a $5, and a $10 tier. If you want the Ninja Trader indicators, you got to go for the $10 tier. And then what you got to do is you got to go download the indicator and run it, and then send me an email, and then I can set you up as a permanent subscription.
Ace Trades says 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 minutes to the open. I have to say, they did trade a good
Sunday
amount there at
driver says,
05.
is that a way to dox people?
No, I don't think it doesn't tell me anything like that. All it tells me is the YouTube name of who subscribes. I guess that you'll have to send me your
Uzi
email
Knesset
if you
says
want
looking
to
at
subscribe.
26 for a cap now.
But other than that, you could use an anonymous email. You could go and sign up for a new email and use that to send it to me, and then I wouldn't know your normal email address if you're that concerned about that. I understand. It's being somebody that has to be disavowed. I understand your concern.
Ango says morning. Email for what?
We're talking about I have channel memberships, and for the $10 tier, I'm going to be giving people my indicators. So you can go to speculatorset.com to download the indicators if you want, and try the trial. Anyways, but to get it activated, you have to subscribe to the channel and send me an email.
Winston's mom says, what did you think of the
Website has more
president's
info.
joyride, or have you already talked about this? It's
Yeah.
irresponsible and will have caused so many people in his detail so much grief. An unknown security risk also.
Yeah, so here's the thing. I am a little skeptical about the idea that the Secret Service members are going to catch coronavirus now because of that joyride. We'll call it that. I'm pretty sure that they are in close proximity to him all the time, and that it's like the same group of like a dozen agents or so, and that they are pretty much already
Uzi Knesset says COVID isn't magic. They'll
probably
be fine.
already have it. Probably already have it. And I'm also willing to bet that if you asked them, that they would have no reservations about it at all.
Ace
They'd be
Trades
like,
says there is your 2
"It's
in
fine."
the S.
Yeah, there you go. The ES took off. Look at that. Oh my, the ES took off on the open. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to think a little bit here because we're busting the overnight high like easy here. Oh, just a little bit short. 67.75 was the overnight high. But look, they're building more volume up in here too.
Winston's mom says now they have to quarantine from their family and friends for 14 days.
Well, that's they probably needed to do that anyways, though. Like, again, why would the president have been exposed, but they wouldn't have been? I hope Hicks. Like, they were around her too. You get what I'm saying?
Sunday driver says they are to do the president's bidding. They will stop a bullet for POTUS, so COVID is nothing.
So I'm going to bet if you ask the service agents themselves that were in the car, that'd be just fine with it. But the question is, what kind of a narrative will it create, and how harmful or not harmful will it be to the president? It seems to me like a story that won't stick for very long, but maybe could do damage. Okay, so oh my, the dollar's getting creamed here. Okay, the dollar is
Winston's
moving
mom
up,
says
oil
I'm
is
not worried
moving
about
up.
catching COVID or dying from it, but it is a huge pain in the you-know-what, and the more careful, the less pain you may eventually experience when and if you have COVID.
The guy in my squad just said, oh, we're seeing a little bit of risk-off action in the markets, but I'm like, no. This does look to me, though, like I need to take it off. Even though I see potential for it to go a lot further, I'm like, $50 is a good win, and it does look like it's going to pivot, or it could potentially pivot. And I'm not necessarily looking to ride this all day long. My treasury trade, I think I can, but anyways, so I was going to say something about the treasury earlier, but you guys got me distracted. Here's what I like about the treasury, okay? The trade is, if you know what's going on, if you're reading, okay? So again, the trade is Goldman Sachs has done an analysis and has determined that if Joe Biden wins, that the treasuries the interest rates are likely to rise, and that if we don't get a stimulus and instead the Democrats take full control and get to do their full stimulus that they want to do, that they will have to rise 40 basis points. 40 basis points would put the 10-year treasury at 136. Okay. It's a big move. So if you know what's going on, the thesis behind the trade and everything is really obvious. And not only that, but the situation is kind of like you can't lose. Because, if Joe Biden wins, goes down, if we get a stimulus or we don't get stimulus, which is probably the big thing that matters to the equity markets right now, the treasury goes down either ways. Right? So your probability is pretty good on it. And it gives you all day to get in on it on anywhere you want. And you can take a little bit or a lot, whatever the deal is. When it's working in the treasuries, there's nothing better because the risk that you take is so minimal compared to what you make out of it. And the probability. Of course, in the E-mini is really your best risk to reward plays, right? That's where you can really make like 100 times your risk, but your probability might not be as good. You get what I mean? So this is where I really like the treasuries. It's just that lately there hasn't been a whole lot of opportunities like that in the treasuries. We've been getting one the past few days. Okay, so there's the E-mini coming back a little bit. I got lucky that time. I mean, I was really hesitant to take the profits on that. Did you notice? In fact, I'm still looking at it and being like, well, I could take it long again. I was also thinking about this. I actually probably should get myself a spot in the queue at 04.5, but I'm looking here. So I'll tell you something, Ace, if you're still listening on the ZB, that's 16. 174.16. So the treasuries are priced in 130 seconds, right? So when it goes to 32, it wraps back around. So 174.16 is kind of like the same thing as like 33.50 in the E-mini, right? So there always kind of fishy stuff goes wrong at 174.16. And of course, you can see there's relatively slightly more liquidity there at 174.16 with 528 orders. They did trade 5K at 28, and now there's another 4K on there. So we may have hit a wall for a while. Happens at evens, 8s, 16s, and 24s. Yeah. I'm not exactly sure if there's a way to make money just off of those prices, but I tell you something, there's always kind of fishy action around those spots. They definitely care about those prices. Simply put, quarter of a point. Yeah, exactly. Now that said, I'm kind of the chances of me getting filled at 04.5, and then if they come down and they fill that, they're almost certainly going to go through it, right? And I'm wondering, might have missed my best take profit opportunity over there in the 10-year. Because I do kind of see a chance of them coming back up to say 08.5, 09 or so. It will be interesting to see. Oh, so there was a couple of comments in here.
Winston's mom says Uzi Knesset, it will be interesting to see how each of the 8 Trump people at the Amy confirmation superspreader event at the WH manage their COVID. Most of them are older and overweight a la Christie.
Yeah. But here's where, again, the media, they're making a lot of money off of this. You got to realize, right? But Donald Trump getting coronavirus is just about the best headline that they could possibly get, you know? So they're going to make more hay out of it than probably it should be. And the thing that I would just say is that they have experimental therapeutic treatments, remdesivir and this
Uzi
antibody
Knesset says,
cocktail,
lol man, people talk about COVID like it's a vengeful Mayan god lol.
right? The death rate in the United States has been constant, even though more people are catching it. And some people would say, oh, well, because it's younger people catching it. Probably true. But I would also argue that if you look at the older people, the death rate for the older people, that it's decreasing because the treatments work. So, like, those are the thing that irks me the most about coronavirus is that we did the right thing. We closed down for a few weeks, probably closed down longer than we needed to. And the president went hardcore on finding, these treatments and everybody, capitalism worked the way that it's supposed to. And they found effective solutions. It's over.
Winston's mom
We
says
solved
Itzum
it.
or Zam, COVID Itzum, the big cheese overall and Lord of the Heavens as well as night and day, could be called upon in hard times.
There you go. Anyways, we did the right thing, and now they should be opening back up because we have treatments and stuff. I guess that these two treatments are still experimental, but come on. Once remdesivir is like on the market, gets approval, then there's really no reason to keep things closed down.
Uzi Knesset says the CDC lays out 5 pandemic scenarios in their data and break down the fatality ratio by age group. Not even the 74 and over crowd breaks 0.5%.
There you go. Yeah. I really think, well, you're going to get another wave in I'm a little concerned about the way Europe is reacting right now because they're getting a lot of cases and they're shutting everything down again. And will the United States have as big of a second wave or not? We'll have to watch Sweden to see how much of a second wave they have because theoretically, Sweden shouldn't get a second wave or it should be much more
mild. People flipped out about Trump having it and it's hilarious. He literally has a 99.95% chance of surviving it.
Yeah. The thing though is I don't know how much people are actually flipping out. I just, when you see a reaction on social media, especially on Reddit, I think you got to be skeptical. I don't know how much of that is real.
I him up a few ticks simply based on being president and getting top-notch care by default alone lol.
I think that a lot of it is manipulated. I think a lot of it is robots and a lot of it is like political activists deciding on a narrative and pushing it out. You will see it on Reddit in particular. They will have a narrative. And it's like some news story nobody's had any chance to react to, and all of the commenters are saying the same thing. I'm going to take this one if they give it to me at 04.5. Look at that. When somebody decided to put 6K at 060, which wasn't a spoof apparently, they sold it down easily. So I could probably hold this
Uzi
for
Knesset
more.
says 26 cap in ZB looking good.
Yeah. I'm still a little concerned about my fill here, though. So, and it's very, very rare that I get more than 8 to 10 ticks in the 10-year and then get away with it, It's probably going to be the one time that I probably shouldn't take it off. Okay, I'm out. Good day. 2 trades, 2 instruments, 2 wins. 2 good wins.
Uzi Knesset says, when you think about it, in terms of reactions to Trump having COVID, people really aren't used to the idea of a president being sick in general. Luis Alarid says if this was a football stadium, the MSM will start the second wave and of course the rest will follow.
I can think of a few times where a president was like, didn't Reagan get sick when he was in office?
Uzi Knesset says let alone with the most selective, discriminatory, and apparently sentient virus in Earth's 4.5 billion years.
And I remember a couple of times where there was concerns about George Bush's health, right? He had like a surgery or something of some sort when he was president, wasn't he? Let's look that up. Let's see if I'm remembering right.
Ahmed Muziru says greetings.
Hey, Ahmed, how are you? Ah, here we go. Oh, maybe not. History. In 1985, George Bush was acting president while Ronald Reagan underwent colon cancer surgery. On 2 occasions, Dick Cheney was acting president while George Bush underwent colonoscopies under sedation. So there you go. Okay, so we get some news coming out here, right? Market PMI composite. Okay, 54.6 with the expected 54.4, or sorry, it's in line. 54.6 for the services, 54.66 estimated, and composite 54.3 versus an estimated 54.4. So in line with expectations, no big deal.
Uzi Knesset says he's still holding that trade. Lol, he up 300 on it if he is.
Right. I gave you a good trade there, man. I'm happy about this one, man. If he, man, well, 27. It was 27, huh? So right now, how many ticks is it? It's more than 8, right? 1, 2, 3.
Uzi Knesset says looking at 20 for a cap
8,
now.
9, 10. Okay, so more than 8 is good. More than 16 is great. If you make more than 24 or 32 ticks, that's like, I don't think I've ever caught a 32 ticker. I've had some opportunities where I should have caught a 32 ticker and I kind of psyched myself out. But I think that the biggest I've ever caught was 24. So the funny thing is that 8 is like a good trade in ZB, but it's also like pretty normal. Oh man, so where did I take mine
Uzi
off at? I
Knesset
took it
says
off at
poked.
04? 04 half. No, it was 04 half. So it went 2 ticks more than that. I've noticed that they'll go like 8 ticks and then 2 more, and then I'll usually take it off there, and I'm thinking, oh, I should have done this. But then when I wait, I don't get it. And I'm starting to wonder if that's like a tactical thing. Like tactically, it's better to take it off at 8 and let it push through. Because if you wait for it, then the market makers will play with you. So it's easier to make sure you get the target profit on the stop out or whatever.
Ango says what do you think Trump could have done better?
Done better in terms of what? On what issue? If we're talking about the coronavirus thing, I kind of think it's just he does what he's going to do, and I don't think that there's any point in trying to analyze what should have been done differently. Blow my nose here.
Luis Alarid says he has too many eyes on him to fail. He's done well.
Oh, there's no way he's going to die. I would be so incredibly shocked if he died from the coronavirus. Like, seriously. I would be so incredibly shocked. Okay, so the market U.S. services PMI, we got the numbers were in line, but when you read the headline, it says, like when you open the report, it says new business growth accelerates to fastest since March of 2019. So it sounds like the report was bullish. Okay, so another offer showing up at 04.
Uzi Knesset says the fact that people who think 30 million Americans have died from COVID actually exist in the U.S. tells you enough about COVID.
Oh, it's not 30 million. Yeah, no. Isn't it something more like 200,000? That would be like there's only 300 million people in the United States. I'm definitely getting sick, guys, because my nose itches like crazy. It just feels dry.
Luis Alarid says hate all the experts on the virus at my office.
Well,
Uzi
everybody's an
Knesset says
expert
yeah,
on
that
it
they
now,
dropped
right?
surveys asking people about how many they think have died, then broke down answers by age and political affiliation. Dear God, the results
Yeah.
lol.
I remember that report, Uzi. And like especially the percentage of like they asked what percentage
Uzi
do you
Knesset
think?
says hey 20 held slightly smiling face.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, they're gonna go down again if you still hold this, man. And they get a new low. Look at that. So that 500 is pushing him. He's squeezing him there at 18. They want that. They want that 16. That's the way it goes. I know it seems a little pedestrian, but I mean, come on. Think about it. What would you rather do? Be there in the E-mini. You got a long. It's going back and forth. Well, I guess you can get 2 ticks. That's cool. Okay. You get your 2 ticks, but otherwise you're waiting for a runner to go. It's going all over the place. All of this stress. Say we had caught it at the open and we were still in it and we're doing this drawdown, and I don't know, maybe you'd use a risk parity strategy with multiple contracts to get yourself out, but like, I don't know. The E-mini is stressful.
Uzi Knesset says second shot.
E-mini is stressful. Over here in the Treasury, one trade, just sit there and relax. And you know what? It's still exciting. I understand because we all want that tick. Like your brain has been wired to think, uptick, downtick, good, bad. That's what gives you that dopamine or norepinephrine. It's like moving, right? But the Treasury does the same thing. You just gotta watch the DOM. Then you come in and say, okay,
Somebody put 582 on there, that's good, but then somebody was willing to buy it, that's bad. But the 10-year is still down there, 0.3 so maybe the 30-year could still get 16. I'm still okay with my original where I took profit in the 10-year. So
Uzi Knesset says retest 24.
So the other narrative that I'm seeing today coming out from the Democrats and the media is the gay men on Twitter have taken over the Proud Boys hashtag on Twitter. First of all, I don't think that the Proud Boys ever used the Proud Boys hashtag on Twitter. I don't think that the Proud Boys ever used Twitter extensively. They're probably already banned. Well, one of the leaders was denouncing he denounced white supremacy and then they banned his Twitter account. That one was like, what? And I don't think they care. And he's saying the Proud Boys are furious that let's read that because I don't think that they give a crap. Blum blum blum. Oh, the Proud Boys have no official presence on Twitter since the official media site banned them in 2018. Now, it says that they were saying they mad things on Parler, though. Are you effing kidding me? Some people saying that it should be illegal. I'm sure that there are some people there that are going to be. The issue with the Proud Boys, here's our issue with them. And this is the issue with anything in politics these days, man. I tell you, is that you might have an organization and you go and you put out the reasons for your, like the ideology for your organization. You put it on a website. Here's what we think, and then you attract people that think that certain thing, right? You're inevitably going to get a certain number of people within that group that also believe things that aren't good. Especially when it comes to things like, the Proud Boys are anti-Islamic. Is really what their thing is. So of course you're going to get a bunch of them. They're also saying,
Ango says on Corona.
Oh, no says on Corona. I hope you're caught up with us here. No, I don't know what he would have done differently. I really don't. I think that the thing is that pushing for a vaccine and all of these therapeutic treatments and encouraging it was a good thing. I'm sure that a Democrat president would have done that too. I don't know if they would have been as effective at it, but the thing is we're going to come out of this. I think that the long-term history, 10 years from now, I think is going to be that we overreacted, that the initial lockdowns were necessary, but after that we overreacted. And B, that we developed technological solutions to it and beat it. And that's really the real story is going to be that we beat it. Now, whether or not President Trump ever gets credit for that or not, probably not. But fact remains, we're beating it. Yeah, that little pullback in ZB was a little bit one tick stronger. They might still try and come back down, but 0.4 was, I think, pretty good. I often am a little early in the Treasuries, so.
Uzi Knesset says I remember. Flatten
Right?
the curve. Lol. It all seems like ancient history now, haha.
We all remember it, man. The problem is that some people are, doing the double think. The thing that will be, like they're saying that the real cure for the pandemic is the election. Probably. Like, there's still going to be a winter wave, and there's
Uzi
still going to be
Knesset says
concerns
12
in
days
Europe.
to slow the spread. the rest of your life to regret giving the government so much damn power.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like a doctor shouldn't be able to hold you in the hospital for a psych evaluation if you don't want to stay in the hospital when you have coronavirus. I just don't think there's a limit. There's this whole thing about people say, like, even libertarians. Okay, so good example, Milton Friedman. He's like a libertarian's libertarian, right? And he said that where you get the government involved is when a person's
Luis
consequences
Alarid
can have
says we
negative
high
impacts
30s
on
now
other
down
people.
to 2 COVID patients in my hospital.
Oh, there you go. When your actions can have negative consequences on other people, that's when you need government to come in and regulate things, right? Okay. But there's a limit to that. Like, there's a limit to that because we could go through all of these situations. Like, you can drive a car, and that can potentially have negative consequences on people. So we have rules about how to drive, but we don't prevent people from driving, even though preventing people from driving altogether would save a lot of lives, right? It's the same thing with this coronavirus. Like, yes, we should have restrictions. Like should they say you should wear a mask? From the science that I've seen, yes, you should wear masks. Can they put you in jail for not wearing one? Okay, so here's another number, 57 spot 8. Oh no, wait. Oh, I don't. Yes, 57 spot 8 versus an expected 56 spot 3. Ooh, Treasuries really pulled there, but they didn't move on it. I kind of forgot that number was coming. I didn't think that there was anything too significant here today. What about the ISM non-manufacturing? 51. They're all expansions. Of course, they were expecting expansion. Oh, we have a Bill and Feds Evans talking later. Bostic. I don't know, speaking from a completely outside perspective, Ireland, the US is not doing a good job dealing with this. That's not to say I think a Dem president would have done a better job. Okay, so Thomas, so here's what I would say as the counter to that. If you look at everything outside of New York, all of the cases and everything outside of New York, the United States has been doing great. They're not necessarily doing the best, but they're doing pretty good. When you talk about the numbers and the number of people that have died and so forth, because here's the thing, the only thing that really matters, this is the thing that's so dumb, and it just makes me so mad. There's only one thing that matters: how you protect the vulnerable population. Okay, like when we get a vaccine and everybody's saying, "Oh, I don't want to get vaccinated," you're not going to be able to get it. You watch. You're a regular person, you won't be able to get the vaccine. It will only be given to people that are at risk first. If supplies are limited, it's only going to be given to people who are at risk first. The only thing that matters is how you protect the vulnerable population. And what did the Democrats in North England do? They said that if you are an elderly person, you have to go back to the nursing home. And then they let the virus spread through the nursing homes, and that's why so many people died. If you take New York and New Jersey out of the equation, you remove them from the death count, then the United States is doing awesome. Are they doing a good job at getting people to, wear masks and stuff like that? Not really, but I actually think it would be worse if a Democrat president was in, because then the Republicans would definitely be like, oh, masks don't help, and wouldn't want to wear masks. Whereas right now you've got a Republican president, and he says you should wear masks. So it's probably better than it could be, actually. Oh, what's his name? Oh my gosh. I just got dropped here. But I think that was just YouTube. Anyways, do you guys not remember when they had like the parade, like the St. Patrick's Day parade or whatever it was? And everybody was saying, well, we shouldn't be doing this if this is a serious issue. And all the Democrats were like, oh, it's fine. And Nancy was out in San Francisco. Come and join us. And then when Donald Trump shut down all of the travel, they said, oh, that's xenophobic. We shouldn't be shutting down the travel. Saved lives. Say he saved lives by shutting down. We would have been hit almost a whole month earlier if it wasn't for him shutting down the travel. So I get the whole, like, the thing is that there's always going to be something to criticize during a crisis. This is why Democrats love it when any kind of a natural disaster happens during a Republican's presidency, like Katrina, because they can always find something that didn't go right to blame on the Republicans. And the Republicans aren't very good at playing the game the other way. Like when it was the hurricane just before Mitt Romney won, like that could have been something. You could have said, hey, Obama didn't, help New York out very well and found the one thing that they screwed up on and made a big deal out of it, right? They do this any natural disaster. They did it with Puerto Rico when Puerto Rico got hit. Oh, this is all President Trump's fault, even though it was like Democrats there were withholding water. Like the water was delivered and the people in power there weren't giving the water to the people. Oh my gosh. Right? They always find something like that. Whatever. But I don't think that in this case the Democrats have a leg to stand on because they said so many stupid things at the beginning that really actively made it worse. And the places that got hit the worst have been Democrat areas. And I'm not just talking like population centers, because not every major population center in the United States have been hit. It was New Jersey and New York in particular did terrible because of a mistake that they made, that the Democrats made. Just saying. Just saying. So I get what many other countries are saying. Like the perception is that the US hasn't handled it very well. But I say it's not over yet. Let's get to next spring. A year after the first lockdowns, okay? And then we'll look at how Europe did and the United States did, and we'll see. And let's not count New York and New Jersey. And if somebody makes a really dumb mistake over in Germany or something that messes up their numbers, we won't count them either. Well, the 10 years just keep pushing. They want to be like, Seth, you got out. We're going to make sure that you regret getting out. Curious that the 10-year keeps going and the 30-year is not. Are we seeing... Because we are seeing some steepening. The steepening shouldn't say that either. That's a curious move. Curious. Okay.
Jeff Mormon says a year after the first lockdown, I'm still gonna be on the first lockdown, Bay Area.
Really? They've been locked down the whole time? Has it really been like you're not allowed to go out unless you're getting groceries and that's it?
Mars says hi, Seth.
Hi, Mars. How are you? Welcome back. That's really crazy. I tell you what. Where was it? I think it was in Wisconsin that the Wisconsin Supreme Court finally struck down one of the more stringent lockdown rules. It was like, finally. Okay, look, they're buying that shit. E-minis wants that. Oh, they did break the high. They did break the high. Well, not too crazy. Looks like they could go for some more.
Jeff Mormon says, hey, it's not that strict, but there's nowhere to go.
Well, I mean, the question is, how much is it affecting businesses? Because I wouldn't expect like the entertainment industry, like live concerts and stuff like that, to bounce back, but almost everybody else should be able to go back to life as usual. Okay, so somebody says take a look at it now. So one of the stocks that I've been watching was doing well on Friday and was showing some interesting price movement, and we're gonna see what it did now, what it did today. I bet you that they're up.
So the stock that we've been looking at is Sumo Logic. What do we have? Sumo Logic. Where are they today? Tesla up 4.17%. Man, I'm getting tired. Like one of the issues that I have is that I still think Tesla is overvalued, and like Tesla needs to come down to maybe like 350, even though everything else can maybe move up. But it seems like that it moves with everything else, and it's just become too much of a risk proxy. Okay, so yeah, big up move today too. Pull back a little bit, but it's just kind of okay. Rare Earth Resources is doing okay today too, after that bill got passed. See, I don't think it's on people's radars yet. Okay, well, they're doing okay. And then Apple's still pretty down from where they were on Friday. Apple got really hit hard. Probably more than almost anybody else I'm watching. I'm not so interested in Costco at the moment. We should look at GS. It's our bank proxy. How are our banks doing? New banks opened up quite a bit higher today. Not 220. 220 is kind of like the resistance, so interesting. Okay, well, I don't know if I'm going to take another trade today or not. It looks like the Treasuries are going to go. I wonder if Ace is still in or if he got out before, but they're 16 finally.
Ace Trades says still in ZB and S.
Nice. Very nice. So what would be 16 ticks? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 11? I think 11 would be, well, actually, we're already falling out. So anything down, the next long-term pivot is 174.06. Overall,
Ace Trades says 12 ticks in ZB. I went short at 174.27.
Right. See, I don't know exactly the spot. I would use the exit signals that you get, because it's possible that this just moves down all day. But the most likely scenario is that it will just distribute at a spot. So you don't necessarily have to be super concerned. I really shouldn't have been as anxious to get out as I was, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more for me. That would have been good. But 8 ticks is really good for me, so I don't know. I'm still the thing is that when I traded Treasuries, I was almost purely market making, and now that I'm kind of have a little bit better of a positioning and everything else like that, I'm still a little fuzzy. I'm getting really good in ES at telling where they're going to have to turn a little bit. Like that first one that I got out, I 72 or whatever. Where was the first one? Yeah, 70. 71. Got out around 70.
Luis Alarid says in CN at 06.
They had to pull back. And of course, they're going to extend. There's new money coming in. There's definitely new money coming in the E-mini, so you could probably hold that. He must be trailing it. The issue in ZB that I always had was that, like, for it to come back 6 ticks and then go lower again is not uncommon. It's always like whatever the spot is that I think, okay, like it's a downtrend, but if it comes above this, then it's not a downtrend anymore, and they'll go above that and then go down. It's just so efficient. Oh, they're well below 16 now, man. Look at that. Three more ticks in 16. Just $500 is a great trade. Okay, I need to use the bathroom, so I'll be right back. Well, they're still going there in the E-mini. Look at that. So that's not even like a crazy rush, but it's just kind of like slow and steady up, man. That is money coming in. I wonder, at some point, I think they were going to see a rush. I'm glad I took it where I did in the E-mini, but I could have taken another one off of that ISM news. You're in ZN at 06? Oh, you went short at 06? I got 09. Looking at the time, it was like, oh, I don't know if, well, I'm just going to have to go with it because that's what
Ace
they're
Trade
showing
says,
me.
yeah, I'm okay with it keeping on up.
Yeah, the E-mini is still going. See, I did the right thing. But I'm thinking, what do we got to use for spots here now? You know what? Let's make a new chart because make one that just doesn't have the tick replay on it. And I'll remove all this stuff from it and put pivots on it. Oh my gosh. So this guy from another channel, he came in and he has a much smaller channel, but he said nice things about me. It was nice talking to him. And he sent me a suite of indicators that he had made. And it was like 20 indicators. And man, some of them are like, what the fuck is this? It's like it changes the whole chart and there's colors and stuff everywhere. And I'm like, what is this mess? Okay, what am I looking for? AMA. Oh, it's gonna be up in lizard indicators, huh? Forgot that he has his own folder code. AMA pivots daily. And then we should also do the time frame confirmation and levels bit.
Ace Trades says you put enough lines on a chart, something is going to stick.
Yeah, right. Okay, and I need to add 33 days. There we go. Okay. Okay, so now they're at yesterday's high. Yesterday's high slash R1. They're above the monthly open. Everything's green. So I don't know if they move up or pull back or not, but that makes this area probably an area that's likely just to distribute a little bit and would be okay for profit taking. I'm going to change a few things on this chart and get my colors right. Up, I want cornflower blue. Down, I want orange. Don't paint the chart background. Use blocks. Okay. Oh no, don't use blocks, use bars. Why do I not have that saved as the default for this? Oh, maybe I did and I changed it because... Yeah. Anyways, don't worry about it. Bar, bar. Bar, bar. Much better. Much better. Okay. Oop, missed one. Missed one. Total. Okay. Cool. So that'll help a little bit. Yeah, let me show you some of these, man. Like, I'm not saying they're useless
Luis
or not.
Alarid says,
I'm
oh
just
no, the
saying
White House
I was
outbreak,
shocked.
CNBC reporting.
So look at how many he has. I think it was this day trend one. What is the one that he said to use? Look at this. Like, look at this stuff, man. What the heck? What? Crazy. Crazy stuff, man. And now, the one thing that is interesting about it is that it has some way of, like, boxing in times to say, okay, there's been something about this time was significant and it changed. That's kind of interesting to me. But oh my gosh, he hasn't explained any of them to me, so I can't say how good they are or what use they might have or not. But I just thought that they were like, wow, oh, so much stuff, guys. Whoa. Only 75% of the 25 to 54-year-olds are working in the U.S. Jeez. How can that still be possible and we not be in a recession? Stocks up, yields up, gold up, VIX up, oil up. Says the market ear. Yep. Okay, so the
The E-mini has taken a breath there. If they really want to go higher, I don't think that 3388 would be like out of the question. Given the situation and everything. Like the thing is that I think that people were still a little overly short. People coming in trying to fade it. Well, see the issue with this is that it's new money that's coming in, and how can you determine when that new money is going to stop? This is an interesting thought. I'm glad that we had this and that this thought is coming to my mind because I've been looking at it and I'm like, well, here's the model, and the model says these are where people's positions are, and so when you get up to this certain point, that's like everybody that's on the one side getting stopped out. So if you get to that point and then they continue moving up, then it means that you're getting a breakout with new money coming into the market, right? New money coming into the market, continuing to push up. And the issue always is that you don't necessarily know when new money is going to come into the market. You can see when it's happening, but it's really hard to predict. There are some situations where you can predict it, but it's really hard. But now I'm realizing that the thing that's even more difficult to predict is when that new money is going to stop coming into the market. When are they going to have bought everything that they need and they're done? I don't think that there's any way that you can possibly know unless you knew who it was coming in and how much money they had, you know? Well, there's got to be something you can do. White House press pool is en route to Walter Reed, where U.S. President Trump is currently being traded. So they're going to send the press pool and have a press conference at the hospital, maybe? Oh, that would be so crazy, guys. Saying they need to be in the new money to sell into them. As the bumps great FOMO and trend new money, I'm hesitating because of the big shenanigan red candles we've been seeing lately. No, I don't think that that's it, Wilson. I don't think that's it.
Time for financials to make a comeback, says the market here. I'd be so happy. And Anthony Crudelli says I'd take good execution over great analysis any day. I think that good execution in part is premised on having a good analysis in the first place. They aren't necessarily two separate things. The thing is that if you have an analysis that is just dead wrong, then it doesn't matter how good your
Block
execution
by.
is. You'll execute, you just get the exact wrong thing every time. Man, so I have to reset my 10-year now? 139 even. So they took off a half a point, half a handle today. And the predicted move is 3.5 handles. Just saying. Didn't I say earlier, oh, I think you can just sell it here and just hold it until the election? Well, not that I can do that, but look at him. He's still going in the E-mini. And that is causing quite a bit of pressure in the 10-year. Probably a lot of these guys that are hedged in treasuries because they're getting pushed down here are going to panic too. I didn't even think about that. That you one thing is you've got that from a valuation perspective, the supply is going to come in and it's going to have to push us to that location. But then there's also just a lot of people that are probably still have their money hiding out there that are going to have to hedge themselves now. Oh, yes. So we should come in and change the title. I didn't even really actually change it. It's the 5th. And
Block sell. Ace Trades says not to brag, but
did you
20 on
get
the S is
20
a good
handles? I'm surprised that you held through that pullback.
day. Luis Alarid says don't forget to change today's date.
Yeah, there you go. I just changed it. I'm surprised that you held, because I would have thought that you would have taken, the trailing profit on that for sure. Why didn't you take it? The issue with me is I got out in the right spot. I kind of thought that we could go higher. I should have waited for it to come back and get long, but at that point, I'm like, I've made $50. I should be happy. You know what I mean? Nah, I should have pushed it.
Ace Trades says not sure, just locked in some profit and wanted to see what happened.
Interesting. Okay, well. I mean, I think that the fundamental outlook favors you. I don't know how far they can get it, but man.
Ace Trades says don't beat yourself up. No one went broke by taking profit.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm just thinking it through. Like the issue is you
You take your profits too aggressively, and then
Ace Trades says still in that CB trade. 14 ticks.
you're waiting for. Well, he's probably letting that one.
Uzi Knesset says remember the 2-tick short I took at 174.29. I remember. Disappointed.
Why didn't I told you this? Did I? I don't know what I said. I don't remember what I said. I just remember thinking coming into today. This was what when I woke up. I thought. Not even when I woke up. Like yesterday when I posted that TikTok. I thought tomorrow I'm gonna go and the first thing I'm gonna do is sell the treasury and just let it run. I shouldn't have taken the profits. I should have held it and said, well, if it comes back, it comes back. But I just don't want to be, I just want to be short for as long as I can. That's what I should have said on the treasury. Tomorrow, if it does the same thing tomorrow, all the way until 136. Because I don't see any reason. I suppose that there's less than that. Because if I come back, where is it? I don't have it there. I saved it on my phone, though. I saved it on my phone. Was this analysis from Goldman Sachs, what they thought different scenarios would mean for the treasury. No, that's not what I want. Downloads, there it is. Okay. Divided control, 5 basis points. Delayed reelection contested results, negative 20 points. Oh, unified Republican control would increase it 15 basis points. So even if we do that, there's still another good point or so left in this. The thing is we're not. You're gonna see at some point. You're gonna see a really big iceberg. Like I would be watching for a 10K in the 10-year, and that might be a better indicator of. Now in the E-mini, there's
Uzi
no way to
Knesset
know.
says ZB may run into trouble going further down at this point.
You think so? I mean, they are due for a rebalancing here. In fact, I dare say they're a little overdue for it. I guess they got enough of a rebalancing at 04.5 to be able to just
Uzi
continue
Knesset
cruising
says if
down.
it continues, it'll be a bit choppy barring any fundamental surprises.
Right. Well, even from 04.5, the 30-year has been a lot choppier since, hasn't it? Man, look at that. So something that I like to see is it ticks down, and that bid, the low of the day, there's nothing special about it. Like 250 contracts on there. Okay, sure. Nobody sees anything significant about 10. Sellers should be able to sell right through it, no problem. If they choose to. See, down here in the 5-year, 5K. Okay, 5K is a lot. 5K, any other day would be a really good chance at a bounce, but there's 16 for you. 16 ticks for you. That's $500. That's the other thing is I should have done it because I'm doing a sim account. I should have done it in the 30-year too, because the way that the spread is going and everything, 30-year is the way to do it. Though there was some points where the 10-year was still kind of trending down. That was interesting. Perhaps a sign to you that they were just going to continue through. That the 10-year didn't care about the spread, that they were still just selling it.
Seth, your thoughts on the Ultra Bond?
Luis Alarid says Seth our thoughts on the Ultra Bond.
Well, the Ultra Bond would be another great way to trade this too. The issue with the Ultra Bond is that at that point, that's where it gets slippery enough that as a so let me tell you about something. Let me try and segue into something a little bit related. I've been trying to find studies on the profitability of day traders, not to find out how many day traders are profitable, because of course we know that almost no day traders are profitable, but to see for the very small number of them that are profitable, is there anything that those studies can tell us about them? And in particular, I'm looking to see if there is some indication that knowing more about the news is a significant factor. In other words, can I prove that technical analysis just harms you and that you just want to focus on the news? Okay. And there was a study of traders in Taiwan. I ran across this on TikTok, and I went and I looked up the study and read the whole thing. And they did an analysis of the Taiwan exchange. And the interesting thing about the Taiwan exchange is that they can pull like literally every order. They had literally every order and who made it from that exchange. They have exactly what I think we should have here in the United States. I don't know if you can see live who is who if they give you that data, but that's what I would really like to see. Is I think that I should be able to look at every order made on the CME and the NYSE and the NASDAQ and see who made it. And I should be able to go back historically and calculate the profitability of literally every person
Gorilla
that's
Digits
participated in the
says IDK,
market.
The more I learn about market maker price delivery, the better I do.
The better I do. Okay, so here's what I was getting at. They had a couple of theories about why they showed that there was about 500 traders that were actually making money out of like 450,000. So like 1% of these guys that were actually like consistently making money. Like 20% made money, but like only 1% consistently made money. And they're like, what is this? Is it because they are inside traders or what's the deal? And they had a couple of theories. One of the theories was that these guys had more information. They were inside traders or they knew more about the news. And what they found was that this group of 500 traders did best in areas of extreme information asymmetry, which means that if earnings was come up, they tended to do better around earnings, if and other events. All right. So that confirms our theory that you want to pay attention to the news. It doesn't really tell you anything about how does technical analysis work, but another question that they asked was, is it from providing liquidity? Are these guys using the spread to make liquidity? Okay. Now here it gets a little complicated because the way the Taiwan exchange works is a little different. They don't have market orders and limit orders. Over there, everything is a limit order. And then every 90 minutes, every 90 seconds, they'll match them all up. Does that make sense? So you would put your order in at where you want. And if you want it to be an aggressive order, if you want it to be a market order, then you would just put your limit order fairly high. Okay. And when they did that analysis, what they found was that the people that had more passive orders did do better. They didn't make money, but they did better. They would make a little bit of money that would then get canceled out by the fees. Interesting, right? So does being a market maker help you do better? Yes. Yes, it does. But will it make you a profitable trader on its own, or at least, enough money for it to be worth all of the work involved in it? Probably not. Which suggests to me that there is significant edge in market making, but that the robots have taken most of it, right? News creates volatility, price action tells you where to place your order. No. Well, no. I mean, I'm not sure what you're necessarily trying to say, Gorilla Digits, but I read that comment as well. The reason that they make more money around news is because there's volatility. Wrong. Because they compared them to the different groups. And these guys that weren't good traders did really bad around the volatility. And the guys that were really good traders did really good around the volatility. Right. It was basically anytime there was information asymmetry, these guys were more likely to be right. If I didn't have my buddy in the CME texting me just before they switched directions, I would be sunk. There you go. My entries are usually within 1 point. Well, you'd have to show me that. I guess the thing is that they didn't necessarily look at how are you determining whether to get in or not, because they can't determine that from the data, right? They'd have to ask the trader why they got in at a certain location. So they can instead they can only look at what times do they tend to participate, right? And I guess you could go through and you could do the historical analysis and say, okay, here is a strategy. Who was getting in around that spot? And then how did they do? But that's difficult. So they can only look at it, how passive are your orders? Using a limit order tends to make you more profitable. Tends to. If you're doing it right. But how do you determine that it's going to turn there? Who knows? All I know is that only 1% of people out there actively day trading have something that works. And all of the studies that I have been reading seem to suggest that their edge has much more to do with knowing what the news is actually going to do rather than it is something to do with technical analysis. In other words, you've got this 1% of traders that know what's going to happen and they're trading it, and everybody else is trying to watch that 1% of traders. But really what ends up happening is that 1% of traders wins and everybody else that's following them don't really make anything from it. That's my theory. So we're trying to be the 1%. I've been talking too much. I feel short of breath. But that must mean I am truly getting sick. My lungs aren't absorbing as much. Can you tell? I'm like, I'll say something and I'm going to... But then the other thing is you said use the word price action. So I have a big problem with price action. Here's the problem that I have with price action. Price action is an incredibly vague term that basically ends up meaning whatever you want it to. So, you get what I'm saying? I'm not trying to criticize you, girl. I'm just saying. This is true. I don't know if he was saying which thing he was saying true to. If you guys can, you should always try to be as... I know you're not all super typers. Oh, he says I understand, yeah. I know you aren't all super typers, but the more you can put in on your message, the better I can understand what you're saying. Yeah. So if you're saying true that using limit orders tends to help or whatever. Took profits cool 5 C notes. Good job. Good job. They are balancing in the 10-year around that 139 for sure. There's actually quite a bit of volume there in the 5-year around 25, 3/4. So that 16 tick move might be it. So if no price action, then what? Okay. So I say that if there's anything technical, and when I say technical, I mean information that can be derived from price and volume. Level 2, and everything that basically comes from the exchange, like all the information that you can receive from Rhythmic and CQG, that's all that's what I consider technical. Okay. I think that if there's anything that you want to look at from technical analysis, it's positioning, which is to mean
how many people are long versus how many people are short. And it used to be, well, you can't determine that. I used to think, well, you can't determine that because you don't know if somebody is taking it, if I enter into a position, am I going to use a limit order or a market order? I don't know. But I now believe that you can actually model people's behaviors. So I think that you can go in and you can make the assumption that the best market makers are all doing it with limit orders and analyze their positioning from that perspective. And also assume that if there's a limit order on the other side, that's them taking profits. And the way that you do it can kind of determine what's a best case and worst case scenario for them. And from that, you can determine people's positioning. And I find that it does really well. So right now, everybody's long. There's people that are going short up here, but generally speaking, all of the market makers are long. They're just anybody that went short is just getting stopped out over and over and over again. And the reason that this move up has happened is because new money came in and pushed us up even further, right? So like there's the market makers, they all got long, and then that brought it up enough that other people, longer term players came in and we had a breakout long. And that's from the indicator that it's not officially out yet, okay? It's not officially out yet. But if you go to speculatorseth.com, you can download the indicators and try them out in trial. And then I'm going to have things. So if you subscribe to the channel every month, then you'll get access to the indicators. Otherwise, your trial will end at the end of 2 weeks. Have you ever noticed what happens when market structure is broken on every time frame over and over again up to 97? Well, so I've noticed, for instance, this thing where like you can kind of come in and look at this and say, okay, when we're long on all time frames, we tend to be moving up, and that tends to be where you get really good trends. That does tend to be true, generally speaking, but I've discovered it's not. So here's a strange thing that I'm another theory that I have. Technical analysis works better on longer time periods. So I did a study on 50-day moving average. If you only go long when we break above the 50-day moving average and then take your profits when it comes back down below it, you have a positive alpha from doing that. So I've been able to find things that maybe outperform the market a little bit on higher time frames, but not on shorter time frames. So what happens is you might have something that tends to be generally true, like when all of the time frames match up, we tend to be going up like we are right now. But that's not something that you can reliably trade on in a short time frame. And that's where I say, so from a short time frame, what you really want to do is you want to look at the fundamentals in the news. So I knew the trades that they were going to be planning on doing today, and it was all looked long to me. So I got in on anticipation of them doing that long and then stayed up until everybody was stopped out. That makes sense. But anyways, in order for me to determine what's going to happen when news comes out, I have to know what news. I have to know everything about it, all of the analysis, what people are expecting, so that I can decipher between what actually happened and what people were expecting. And then I have to know the market's positioning too, because if there's good news comes out and everybody's already long, then it's hard to get a really big move off of that. The ISM number, let's see here. 8 o'clock. Oh, we really got to zoom in here. 8 o'clock. Okay. They were positioned long, but only just barely. So here is a spot where I could have said, oh yeah, the ISM was good. We can buy that. And then, of course, how do you know the new money is going to come into the market? I suppose you can look at technical levels to determine that. But I say that when somebody comes in and they want to buy, you might not necessarily know why they're buying, and you don't necessarily know how much they're going to buy. So at that point, I don't know what to do about that. I have some thoughts, but I think that we would need to look more into what are the different hedge fund strategies out there and what might be running right now that's pushing it up, and how much money would they have to be able to push it, and what technicals would get them out and so forth. I found that the higher time frames dictate what the lower ones do. When market structure is broken with an impulse move, it'll retrace to tax a better price in dealing range. Well, yeah, and that's where I'm saying the reason that happens is because of positioning. Too many people get short. New money isn't coming into the market. People have to take profits. It has to come back. I get what you mean. Yeah. But anyways, so that I guess the whole point of that was that, in my opinion, the thing that you want to look from a technical perspective is positioning primarily. Okay. Because if I'm a big term player and I've come in and I want to buy it, I don't think that they care what's happening. I think they say, oh, I'm going to buy it, and they buy it. And then you just kind of have to factor in, okay, there's this guy, he's long, he's from here. Well, you say over and over for years. So, like, and that's where I would say, okay, so develop stats to prove it. Because part of the reason why I've come to the conclusions that I have is because there's no other explanation. If there was a set of technical parameters that consistently predicted what the market was going to do, just based off of that technical information alone, then I would be able to find it and backtest it and prove that it works. And there would be people out there that would have sufficiently well-tested systems out there to show you that. And I don't see that. I've never seen that. I've seen people show me, oh man, I saw on the subreddit the other day, this guy, he had taken, it was like equal risk reward, and he was winning like 60% of the time, but he had made a ton that day. A ton. I don't know how he does it, but it was one day, you know. He had made $10,000 on the E-mini, and his average trade was $200. So that's pretty good. That's, you know, that's like average trade 4 points, and you made, 100 points. When it breaks structure, the macro changes. Yeah, but that's when it's like, so let's look at it from this perspective. Okay, so here's a long-term chart, right? So has the macro perspective changed? Mm-hmm. All along here. Really, this whole thing right here was like, what the heck is going on? Something's not right. Okay, we broke this. Then it really dived. Here's the thing. Well, I guess you could get that. I guess you could have said from here to here. But how many times has it done something where it's like, we break yesterday's high? Like, here's a good example. Come in, zoom in a little bit here. And, like right here. Oh, we broke yesterday's high. Oops. Oh, we broke yesterday's low. Now it goes. See, this doesn't work all the time. The amount that you lose is like that, and the amount that you make is like that. And what percentage you catch is
going to determine what you get. But then, do you have a stop long enough to go from here to here? Sorry, from here to here? What's that? 08 to 19. So let's say, do you have a 10 handle stop? You know what I mean? So then we come over into here. Okay, well, we broke yesterday's high a little bit. Oops, that's not right. We need to just come over a little bit more. Okay, so we broke yesterday's high. We haven't broken this high yet. That's 88. But it looks like we could. At that point, has the macro changed? And I think you probably could say yeah, right? But I guess the point that I'm trying to make is that I think I can tell you right here that the macro has changed. You know what I mean? I think that the reason the macro has changed is because something happened. Really, it happened over here somewhere. There's been a change. And you almost know that this is going to get beaten out. Because you know the fundamentals involved. And the reason it happens is because of the fundamentals, not because of the pivot. So all the time when we come up to levels like that and people say, I won't be able to get through this or it will, and then they're wrong. I was reading something yesterday where a former bank trader said 80% of volume in Forex are banks, and teaching retail traders the Holy Grail won't move the market in the least. Probably not. But the issue that I see from a perspective of retail traders is that the natural volatility of the market will tend to be further than the retail trader is willing to hold it. Right? So the thing is if everybody was swing trading, yeah, if everybody was swing trading and making, X amount or whatever, like their stop was like 20 handles and their target was 40 handles or something like that, then I bet you there would be a lot more profitable traders. At that point, though, they probably wouldn't have positive Sharpe ratios, and they'd still have bad drawdowns. You get what I'm saying? It's not just an issue of being profitable. It's an issue of being profitable within a certain risk parameters. And the issue that we have as day traders is that the risk parameters that we want are really difficult to catch. But I also think like Forex is a perfect example, is like the bank moves because they need to move their money from one place to another place to do business. How do you know when they're going to do that? You can't. You can just watch them as they do it and hope that there's more coming, which you don't really know, right? That's why the success rate in Forex is so dismal. Stock's a different game. I had a friend that held so much of penny stock. I told him it will take 6 months to get out without crashing price. Oh man. Wow. Yeah, I can picture that kind of a thing. Okay, so somebody just hit 139 with a pretty heavy offer there, and it held. So that's interesting. The algorithm has to provide an opportunity for both longs and shorts to trade at all prices. That's why it fell to where it did. Stocks. Well, yeah. It's saying you can figure it out by positioning. I've seen a lot of people providing technical analysis to say, okay, like it's come this far and now it has to come back, and they use things like RSI and so forth. They're not, when you go and you back test it, that it seems like, yes, it does do, like there is a certain percentage profitability on it, but you lose more than you make. And
It's already been arbitraged out, essentially, right? Because it's not complete enough to explain what's going on. And that's where I say positioning does. If you're able to determine how much people are long compared to short and where their break-even prices are and where their stop-out prices are, you have a much better idea and you can predict what's going to happen a lot more easily. But even then, you can't necessarily predict all of the time what's going to go on because of new people coming into the market. So you probably want to have some sort of a fundamental catalyst as a basis for the trade and then factor in the positioning. How much institutional money in futures do you think? I don't know. Like, what percentage of it is institutional compared to not? I don't know. The vast majority of it is institutional. There's definitely multifaceted. Yeah. Well, this is the other thing that drives me crazy is that I really the thing that I want to fight, that I want to argue back against, is the people that say just watch the technicals and just trade this technical. Essentially, what they're saying is you're taking a predefined bet that you're going to make this much when you win and lose this much when you lose, and on average you're going to win this percent of the time, and then over that you can get a positive expectancy, and that you just trade that based purely off of the technicals and you can make money doing so. And we know that that is what the vast majority of retail traders are doing. I've done some surveys from this. You know that like something like 70-80% of retail traders believe use price action and believe that price action works. Okay, well, the issue with price action is it's not well defined. But anything that's sufficiently popular is going to take the edge out of it, right? Even with the news, like if it's a piece of news, everybody knows about it. How do you make money off of it? The only way you make money off of it is if you're executing faster off of it, which is why we focus on the DOM, so that we can trade it fastest, right? But this idea that you can just trade purely off of technicals and be a consistently profitable trader, I've never seen it. Really haven't. Well, and the ones that I've seen that do good are really, like, the amount is really, really small. Because Ace is the only one that I think has really shown me like a really, really good set of like he just does well. And I honestly, a lot of it, I don't think even he can explain. Because we'll trade with the same things and not do as well as he does. Correct. Context is key. Yeah. And I say, what is context? I say that context is everything that's not technical. Everything that you don't get from CQG and Rhythmic. That's what I consider context. Of course, context can also be there's a daily pivot here or whatever the deal is. You know, we kind of knew that there was going to be some profit taking at 33.75 because that was the previous day's high in the pivot. But of course, it went through it, didn't it? Because somebody wanted to buy it. And I don't know how high they want to bring it. So here's some context for you on this trade. I don't know how high it's going to go, but I suspect that they're going to keep pushing it. We saw some behavior last Wednesday and Thursday that was very much like the run up to the highs of the year that apparently we now know was driven by SoftBank buying out of the money calls. Well, we saw some activity on Thursday that in terms of the pace and the amount of chasing that the futures made, that was happening again. And we got further confirmation over the weekend that SoftBank bought some 200 million worth of options in this manner. So I would suspect that they're not done. So they were going to want to get above 88 first, and then that sort of thing might come in, and they might move a lot further than you'd expect.
Let's look at what the VIX is predicting that they're going to go. Okay, so VIX target 1 is 33.90 and VIX target 2 is 34. Excuse me. 34.23. Market maker is either fixing imbalances or running highs and lows for liquidity. Yeah. Well, but the thing is how do they fix the imbalances? They're just taking the profits, I think. So, like, the way that I look at it, since the open, here's the longs. So you can see longs accumulated around the open and on this pullback here as well at 33.65. So that's the average long position. Since then, they've just been adding to it. And up here, there's been a little bit of profit taking, right? These shorts, they went short and it's been down there like that this whole time. Probably means that the shorts have given up, especially since we're above this dotted line, which means that the shorts are likely all stopped out. So what is the imbalance that's been created? Well, the imbalance that's been created is new money has come in. So, if this new money comes in and they're happy and then everybody's happy with the price, then the market makers will just have to rebalance until this moves up to here. That, or they'll have to come back and tag 33.75. And then if something changes, if things flip around and we get like a negative thing, Donald Trump dies, we get the news report Donald Trump has died, then would we see below 33.65? Probably. Because that's where the positionings were. In chat, they're talking about Kumo will probably shut things down again in New York. Second round of shutdowns coming from Kumo, I imagine, seems likely. The previous shutdown caused a dump. Check to the left on your chart. When was the previous shutdown? Yeah, it was pretty bad. Question though was, how much impact another shutdown in New York have on the overall economy? I don't know. And this is where I have a bigger problem. Longer term. Is like, I'm feeling a little slow today. This right here was overdone. Like, yeah, they had a totally reason to sell it, but probably not, like when you looked at the put call ratios and everything else like that, that was like way too oversold. That was going to have to unbalance. So unbalancing, is that unbalanced? Or sorry, rebalanced? Is that rebalanced? I don't know. I don't think that it would be unreasonable to come back to here to rebalance. But is it going to come back up to here? Well, that was crazy. This whole thing was crazy. 3,400. 3,400 is fair. Beyond that, I don't know. Would another set of shutdowns from Kumo push us lower again? Maybe. Could. That's a tough one. Kind of thinking, though, it's kind of died down that if I took profits here, I would be happy with it. I should know, by the way, too, that if they don't get above 33.89, that's, and then they come back to the open, that's kind of telling you something, too. So. Interesting. Need to breathe again. I'm not stuffy, but I can feel myself getting sick. I can feel like there's mucus up in there and my throat. and I'm feeling a little tired. I don't know if it's serious. Doesn't look too bad, and my wife got it first. She doesn't look too bad. She just got a runny nose. Going under 3290, it seems. Yeah, just because 3290 is like the degree that we should expect it to move on a good move, and I think today was a good move. Are you working from home today forever? As far as I can tell, I'm working from home forever. Oh man. So let's check and see if anybody's tried downloading the indicator yet. Anyways, speculatorseth.com. It's not out officially, but I'm pretty sure that that's going to be the first release. So if you want to beta test it, you can put it in. It has a licensing in it, so it'll let you use it for 2 weeks. Speculatorseth.com. And no real reason to go beyond that because no, not yet. Because the whole thing is I want you download it, see if my website was set up well enough for people to find it. Yada, yada, yada. But I'd say it's a great indicator. It's really helped my trading out. It's not perfect, but I think it's helped me out a lot. Being able to factor in people's positionings into my analysis. Whew. I definitely feel it if I breathe all the way in. I don't think it's coronavirus, but... So 2 weeks ago, I was in contact with somebody that tested positive for coronavirus. I wasn't experiencing symptoms, so I didn't get tested. And now I'm experiencing, I don't know if these are coronavirus symptoms, but maybe I have it. I don't think I'm going to go get tested, though, because unless I get more serious sick, something that is more clearly COVID. I mean, it looks like they can go again. Oh, look at that. That's a really slow tick into the highs, but if you've been sleeping okay and taking vitamins, yeah, I think I went to bed at a pretty good time last night, and I'm always taking vitamins. I think part of it is just we're getting to the end of talking. Talking for 3 hours takes a lot out of you. When I do those night streams, like on the debates and stuff, and I don't think I'm going to stream the vice president debate, by the way. Man, it's so exhausting, man. Streaming for that long. These people that stream video games all day, I don't know how they do that. I guess maybe what they're doing isn't quite as stressful as trading and talking to people. I tell you what, you know what's stressful to me lately is I feel like I know what I'm doing. And I have a framework that I think has worked really well. I don't know if it has enough of a track record yet to really be going out and saying, oh, it totally works. But I can explain how you guys are doing it. But that's kind of the fear is like you say something and then, people take it too seriously. And then you come back and you have a bad time period and people criticize you for doing poorly during the bad time period, which is inevitable, right? I had a bad day last Monday, was it? No, it was further back than that. It's been 2 weeks now. Man, that makes it a little stressful, I think. Friend's friend went to a party, brought COVID home. He, his mother, wife, and daughter all died and was in the newspaper. Really? Well, they probably didn't go into the hospital as quickly as they should have. We all have pieces of the correct model. Oh, Gorilla, I think you're on the right track.
I look at it as like trading nirvana. And trading nirvana would be that you have a complete view of the entire system and you're factoring in everything that matters in that moment. And the reality is that the system is so complicated that no one human can ever hope to do that. But the more of it that you have, the better you're going to do. That to me is, I think, the way. This is the way. It's not the Holy Grail. There is no Holy Grail. Because the Holy Grail implies that there's one single truth that will make you profitable, and it's not true. There's a system. And the better you are in harmony with that system, the better you will do. But there's no one single truth that will get you in that harmony. And it changes, which means that your methods and what you're looking at has to change in accordance with what matters to that system. And you want to look at the whole system. I tell you, another thing that bothers me, people say, just look at that one instrument. No, don't. Look at everything. Like, one of the things that I have included in my pack, if you go to speculatorseth.com, is a synthetic dollar index. Because most retail traders and futures aren't watching the dollar index. And this is probably one of the most significant factors in the price of things, is the value of the dollar. How did I trade without the dollar index? It seems kind of crazy to me now that I have it. Anyways, it's in the back. Okay. It is, I mean, I got like 10 minutes, but I feel like I gotta go. So, not much else to say. Anyways, Gorilla Digits, thanks for chatting a lot today. I know this isn't the first day that he popped in, but we had a good conversation. And everybody else that talked today, live action always here. You know what, live action? I've been thinking, like, live action has been one of the longest, most dedicated followers that talks, and has been interacting on the channel. And I feel like that I don't recognize you as much as I should, but you are every much as bit a part of this channel as everybody else that we recognize from time to time. So I appreciate it, dude. Anyways, now I'm getting all sappy. Stay profitable, friends.